Hey, welcome back to another episode of the She's Making an Impact podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Ngom. Today, let's talk about some weird success habits that I follow. Here's what I know. Success, it's not something that happens overnight. It's just like little things over and over and over and over and over again add up to massive success. It's like you see somebody, you think they're successful, you think it happened overnight. No. There are some like specific things that they did to have that happen, and it probably happened over an extended period of time. It didn't happen overnight. So like mine is over the course of a decade, right? But there's like little things that I do that might be kind of weird. You might not do them, that I wanted to share with you, just if you're like, yeah, I want to implement, like, we're at the beginning of the year. I want to implement some new habits into my life right now. I'm going to share with you some of the things that I do. And you can decide, hey, yeah, I love that idea. So let's dive in. And I want to know from you, do you have any little weird habits that you do? So I have like a whole list. I was like brainstorming. I'm like, what are all the, because I do a lot of things really weird. Be weird, like don't do when I see everyone else doing something, I'm like, I want to do the opposite because most people are broke and unhappy. So I'm like, 98% of people are doing this. I'm going to do this. So weird things that I do, fasting. So intermittent fasting, and that has become like such a popular thing. I do it very differently than you might think. It's not something where I'm like, because I have been in the past like very meticulous and obsessive about how I was eating, and definitely had eating disorders in high school and in college. Now, when I do intermittent fasting, if I'm hungry when I wake up, I eat, but it's rarely, like really, really rare that I'm hungry when I first wake up. And so one of the things that I do is I eat an early dinner. So why do I eat an early dinner? Because I wear an Aura ring, and when you start working on optimizing your sleep and you start tracking your sleep, which is one of the weird habits that I do. I'm like really obsessive about how I sleep, because how you sleep impacts everything. It's so important. And so when I started tracking with the Aura Ring, I noticed that if I ate late at night, it would definitely impact how I slept and how I would wake up and how I would feel the next day. So I eat early. And by early, I mean I'm usually eating dinner between 4 and 5. Like my ideal scenario is I am done eating by 5 o'clock. Okay. So that's something weird that I do. And then when it comes to intermittent fasting, so what I'm typically waking up early. So that's another habit of waking up early. And then I don't eat for probably 3 hours ish. It's usually like 3 hours after I eat or after I wake up that I eat breakfast. So today I was up at 5. I ate breakfast around 8:39. So that gives me a pretty decent window between like 5 and 9. I don't know, mathematician, tell me how many hours that is. But that I feel good with. I don't fast all the time because what I've learned is that women are different than men, and all the research that's out there on fasting is done on men. And if you have a cycle, you need to fast differently than men do. So the week before my period, I don't fast as long. I'll typically like eat breakfast a little bit earlier, or maybe I'll eat dinner a little bit later, just so I don't have a fasting window more than 14, 15 hours. But if I'm not the week before my period, then I fast whenever. Okay, so that's one weird thing that I do, intermittent fasting. Another thing in the health space is tracking my insulin levels or my glucose levels with a continuous glucose monitor. Now, this isn't something that I do all the time, but it's one of the things I do like maybe every quarter or so. I'll wear a continuous glucose monitor. So it's one of those little things that diabetics wear, and you get it and you put it on the back of your arm. So two companies that you can get this through, because before it was only available to people that have diabetes. Now it's becoming more of like a trend in the health and wellness biohacking space, where you can get it from two companies that I've gotten it from: Veri, VERI, and Zoe Test. So the Zoe Test. So those are two companies you can get it through. Why do I track that? Because how your blood sugar goes up and down will affect how you show up in your energy throughout the day. So I started tracking like how different different foods affect my energy levels. And I can see, ooh, at lunch when I had this, I felt like I needed to take a nap in the afternoon. And so I'm really aware of how I'm performing and how I'm feeling. Like I feel myself like, yes, I'm an entrepreneur, but I feel myself like I'm an athlete still because I believe they're so like they're one and the same. If I want to show up and perform at my absolute best, I need to take care of my body and I need to make sure I'm like really showing up high energy, peak energy. So that's one of the things I do is use a continuous glucose monitor, not all the time. I would say maximum once a quarter. Like you can use it for a month and see how your glucose levels are showing up throughout your cycle. And then after that, like once a quarter max. And it's just a good thing. So I noticed, oh, your food timing. If I eat eggs before I have my Ezekiel English muffin, my blood sugar stays stable. But if I eat the muffin first, then it rises. Or oatmeal actually makes my blood sugar go up. So all these like little interesting things that are very individual to your own body because there's no one size fits all approach is one thing that you can track. So I mentioned the Aura Ring. That's another weird thing that I do is I track my sleep with the Aura Ring, and it is so cool the data that you get to see and the trends that you get to create within that Aura Ring. So I can put in there, and I was actually looking at like my trends, and I'm like, looking at my HRV, which is heart rate variability, which mine is like freakishly high, which is what you want it to be. You want it to be high. So I'm like, oh, I'm doing something right. We were talking about this at the mastermind that I was a part of last week. And they were like, you want your HRV to be like, they were like showing graphs of people taking it from like 40 to 70, and mine is like consistently 170. So I'm like, can it be too high? So mine's not too high because I was talking to an expert, but it's like you want it to be higher. And so one of the things that I'm tracking is how like my HRV, what am I doing throughout the day? When I'm cycling, if I'm eating late, if, you know, when I was drinking, that's one of the reasons I stopped drinking is when I started wearing the Aura Ring, I noticed how much a glass of wine, even if I had it earlier in the day, would affect my sleep, my HRV, my heart rate would spike. And I was just like, this isn't worth it. Like if I want to show up at my best to make the greatest impact I possibly can in the world, like this isn't going to help me do that. So done drinking. So tracking sleep with the Aura Ring is another one. Another weird thing that I do is I listen to meditations while I'm sleeping. So I have these like giant headphones that are really comfortable. And on YouTube, I have specific playlists that I'll listen to. The ones that I'm listening to right now, it's a channel called Soak Stream. And so there's like healing meditations and there's like, oh gosh, like sleeping in God's word, where it's just like scripture that you're listening to while you're sleeping. So that's another weird thing that I do. Which one is like, so these are, I've mentioned quite a few already. Which one is like, oh, I don't know. Could I do it? Could I not? Other weird things that I do. I don't check social media or my phone first thing in the morning. So I actually charge my phone in my office downstairs. And it's around 6 or 7 o'clock that my phone is charged in my office. And that has like, you know, Voxer, like ways that I communicate with clients or other stuff on that is on my phone. So I keep it here, not upstairs where I'm sleeping. So that way my reflex is never to check my phone or to check any messages that I may have gotten. So that's another hack that has made a really big, especially if you're like, because that your phone is addictive. It is. And if you don't set certain boundaries and parameters up around your phone, it's really easy for it to get sucked in and take over everything. So this is one thing that I do of like charge it in my office, put it in there. Like as soon as I put Gabrielle down to bed, phone goes down here, boom, done. So that's another thing that I do. Don't check social media or email first thing in the morning. That's another big one is like let the phone charge in the room. Don't be disciplined enough not to pick it up until you do. So for me, it's like reading the Bible, spending prayer time after I do those specific things, and then like focus on my one thing that I want to get done for the day. Then after I do all of that, usually after an hour or two, then I can check my phone. What else? Another weird success habit. Oh, this is a good one. Taking action without knowing the steps. I do this all the time. And when I tell people, they're like, so you signed up for this thing, but you don't actually know like how it's going to happen. So it's like, I set the plan in motion and I'm like, okay, we're going to do this. And I never know the details around it or how it's going to happen. It's more like I have the vision of what I want to create and then we make it happen. So it's like we have a challenge, and I'll talk about the challenge coming up on the 23rd with this awesome program that we're putting out there called Success Without Stress. I have the idea of the challenge, the idea of the program, and then I get the team in motion to start promoting it. And then I look at, okay, now I get to create the details around it. But I don't have all my ducks in a row before I take action. I have the big idea, and then I get the team on board, and then we implement, and then we figure out the details later. Make sense? Okay. Other things that I do: go to bed early because I wake up early. If I'm going to wake up at 5, because I am obsessed with optimizing my sleep, I know I need 8 to 8.5 hours of sleep to really feel good and perform at my best. I'm in bed, ideally asleep at 8:30, unless TJ, my son, tell me, your kids, are they always like have a million questions, want you to come in, give them a kiss, give them a hug, come back, give them a kiss, give them a hug, like all the things? Yes. So ideally, I'm like working on him because we cuddle and we get into bed at 8 o'clock and we watch an episode of Boy Meets World. And then I'm like, all right, you need to go to bed now so I can go to bed at 8:30. That is our current routine, me going to bed ideally 8:30. So then I wake up early. Another habit that I do is I walk early. And so every morning, and I don't want you to think I'm like this perfect person, because I am not. I would say like I do these things 80% of the time because, life happens. So most mornings I do a walk early at like 6:15. There is the occasional morning where it's like maybe my body needed to sleep more and then I don't get the walk in right away, but then I'll do it after I drop Gabrielle off at school. So in the morning, I'm walking from 6:15 to 6:45, 7-ish, because Gabrielle is awake at 7. And so I need to get like all these things done before she wakes up. So I'm walking, getting that like early morning movement before she wakes up. Other things that we do: I'm in the habit of leaning into my strength, and I'm not trying to be good at everything because I know there's only so much capacity I can handle. And I also know like I just need to focus on what is my gifting, what am I really good at. So we're building out our sales team right now, and Tara is basically like leading our new people that are on our sales team, and she's showing them the programs that we're using, the software that we're using. As I'm watching, like we're on our meeting this morning, I'm like, I'm learning. I had no idea how you were using this. And she just has it all dialed in because I know I don't need to be an expert in that software program. I need to focus on like me being the visionary, the CEO, me leading all these people. They can become experts in the software and execute on that level, right? So I'm thinking of what are my strengths? How can I lean into it? And then making sure I'm not trying to be good at everything. Wait until they're older and they don't go down early. I know, but my husband, he stays up later than me, so he can oversee TJ, make sure he goes to bed at a decent hour. But TJ, he is like me, like he likes to stay up late and everything, but he also likes to wake up early and have that morning time. So hopefully he'll be an early bird. I don't know. That's how he is right now. Other habits that I do: visualizing what I want, getting really clear on what I want, and then spend time in the vision of what I want to create. You don't like just take 2 minutes a day doing that. And before you know it, your life, like a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, will be completely different. What else? I'm in the habit of not trying to do all of the things and being on every single platform. So it's like, I'm not focused on growing on Instagram right now. I'm not focused on growing on YouTube right now. And so be in the habit of having one main focus, like you're laser focused on this one thing. All the others, you don't have to be good at everything. You don't have to be on every single platform. Pick the one and get really good at one. Okay. Other habit that I have: tracking finances. I have been in the habit of tracking our finances for years, and it got really exciting as like we're tracking so before it was like we're paying off debt and I'm tracking how much money do we owe the IRS on back taxes. That one, we were living in France, in Cheminot, 2016-ish. Thanks God I have learned and gotten better. So like tracking the debt that had to pay off, right? Then it was tracking our net worth and tracking our assets and seeing them grow. So I used to do this with like a spreadsheet, and I would go in and manually add all of our bank accounts and all of our investments to that spreadsheet and then see that number. I now use this fancy schmancy app. It's called Rocket Money. And I'm going to pull it up. within Rocket Money, you can sync all of your bank accounts and all of the investments that you have, and it will tell you a real time, like what your net worth is in this moment, which is so cool. You can see, like, I can see over the past month, our net worth has increased 12%. What? So that is really cool to be able to see like how it's growing. You can see your asset versus your debt, how it's gone up, how it's gone down. You can see your credit score in there and all of that stuff. So that one is called Rocket Money, and it'll show you even like how much money that how much you've spent this month compared to last month. It'll show you your net cash, your credit card balances, your checking account, your savings account, how much you have in your investments. It'll show you upcoming reoccurring bills that you have, and it'll help you actually get rid of any reoccurring payments that you don't want anymore. So this is a big one that I was like, when I found this, I'm like, sweet. So tracking is a big thing that I'm in the habit of. So we look at our net worth. We look like every single month we're looking at these numbers to make sure, hey, are we moving in the right direction? What does this look like? What's all that stuff? And the last weird success habit that I do is I intentionally pursue discomfort. And so I'm looking at like what makes me uncomfortable and how can I pursue that. So that might look like when I'm in the shower, making it be like a cold shower for the last minute, and it's not fun, but I'm like, oh, this will make me feel good. Or like when we were in Arizona, we went out to dinner for my mastermind, and I didn't bring my jacket, even though it was pretty chilly, because I'm like, all right, I'm going to work on my hormesis, which is basically the body's ability to adapt to certain stress. So like fasting and cold exposure, those are ways that you can work on your hormesis. I know I'm not like in the health space anymore, but I was in the health space for years, and I still geek out on this stuff. And I feel like when you get your health dialed in, it helps you become a better entrepreneur and business owner. And it just helps you feel better, have more energy, live longer. So these are a lot of the things that I do for in terms of like biohacking and all of that. Okay. Any of these stand out to you? Let me give you just a recap on everything that I talked about. Fasting, continuous glucose monitor, using an Aura ring, listening to meditations while I sleep. Boundaries are on your phone, not checking social first thing, going to bed early, waking up early, taking action without knowing the steps, leaning into your strengths, visualizing what you want. Oh, another one, I missed this, investing 70% of our income. So like as our income has grown and our business has grown, we haven't increased our lifestyle. So we're still looking at how can we invest and multiply. Don't try growing all socials. Focus on your one thing, track your finances, and pursue discomfort. Woo! Which one stood out to you the most? And we have a challenge coming up the week of January 23rd. I haven't done a challenge in like over a year, and they're so fun. It's called oh my gosh, how to 5x your profit and joy. And so what I want to show you in this challenge is just some of the things that we do that have helped us, you could 5x your profit over the next year without adding a ton more onto your plate. So I actually want to show you how you can do that and work less, because we've created $1 million business where I'm working 20 hours a week or less. So I want to show you how to do that. You could register at challengewithrachel.com/5x. challengewithrachel.com/5x. It is going to be a game changer. It's going to be such a great way for you to kick off the year. So go register now, challengewithrachel.com/5x. Invite a friend, and we're just going to crush it this year. So I can't wait to see you there. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.